Hey guys, Garrett here. So today I'll be going over footers, and a footer is basically just a component to an arrow that you can buy aftermarket that will add strength, durability, and weight to the end of your arrow. This will help strengthen the end of your arrow and then also bump up your FOC a little bit. So if you're trying to find ways to add more weight without having to go up to a bigger broadhead, or if you already have inserts mounted into your arrows, so these already have the hidden inserts into them, footers are a really good option to add a whole different dynamic to your arrow without having to make any major changes, cuts, or buy a new batch of arrows. So these things run about 12 bucks for 20 from my friend Chris Dunlap out of Elk River Archery, and basically they just slide over and then you epoxy them on. But I want to go over real quick how easy they are to install, and then also show you what my batch of arrows looks like that I just did earlier this week. I've got blazers, and then I have my footers, which weigh 16 grains a piece. And so now I'm shooting 457 to 458 grains, just over a 14% FOC with a 125 grain head and a 16 grain hidden insert. So, but let's go ahead and I'll show you how to install one of these things real quick, and then we'll wrap up the video. Alright guys, so what you're going to do is basically you're going to take a steel brush. This is just out of a gun cleaning kit that I have. You're going to take your insert, your footer here. You're just going to clean it out. And then from there, you're pretty much ready to install. So I have some epoxy right here. The quicker the epoxy, the better for your footers, because you can just get out there and shoot it quicker. I don't really like the Easton orange epoxy. It's pretty much too quick, and it glues your fingers together. It's just a nightmare to use. So I use a little bit slower epoxy. This is the boning epoxy, which I really don't like, honestly. It takes way too long to sit, but it's what I had. I didn't want to open up a new pack of the Easton hidden insert epoxy, because that stuff is amazing. And I just didn't have any others outside those little packets that they give you with the inserts. So I'm using the boning epoxy. But basically what you're doing here is you're just going to put a little bit on the edge of your arrow. Now I keep it away from the tip so I don't get it inside of the arrow. And then all I'm going to do is just slide the footer over the end. Okay, and that's on there pretty darn well. Now you're going to make it flush with your arrow here. And then you're going to take a Q-tip or a little cleaning pad, and you're going to clean all the residual off your arrow. Perfect. And then you just let it sit for, as long as your epoxy takes to sit. So wouldn't use fletching glue. Wouldn't use really anything but epoxy for this, because you really want it to sit, you really want it to be strong, and you want it to lay flush with your arrow. So this is flush with my arrow here, and basically what you're going to do is you're just going to leave it like this, so it doesn't work its way up or down the arrow. Just leave it flat, and just leave it for a while, just until the epoxy dries. Chris squares each end of each footer, so if your arrow is squared, you're fine, you're good to go. You can always use an arrow squaring device by G5, and then if it's not square, you can get it square that way. Even if you have installed the footer on an unsquared arrow, you can still make it right. So these are 16 grains. They really do add a lot of strength. So if you shoot an arrow long enough, you'll eventually start getting these bristles or this brooming out or these cracks on the end of your arrow. If you use a hidden insert or something like that, this will prevent that. And then also, if you hit something really hard, you're going to have a really good chance at saving that arrow with a footer than rather just smushing the carbon back if you don't have a footer. And I'm talking about using the Easton Axis hidden insert ones. So hopefully this video was really helpful. If you want to get a hold of Chris, you'd have to do it on Instagram or Facebook. I'll leave his information down below. Not getting paid to say any of this, guys. He's just a good guy that makes a good product. And these are going to be on my hunting arrows this year. So hopefully you guys found this video helpful, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye.